Hey guys, Jason here. I just wanted to fill you guys in on a little something that kind of flips the whole path on its head. That there is no end game. No end game at all. There is no final level. There's no spiritual credits rolling. There's no divine lounge chair where you sip moksha margaritas or anything like that. You don't actually escape the cycle at all. You see through it. And once you see it clearly, you don't want to escape it anymore at all. You choose to return every single time. And it's not out of karma, but simply out of joy and exploration. So let me explain more. Now, you've been taught that samsara is a trap. Reincarnation, the rebirth is punishment, the nirvana is a one-way ticket out. But what if that's actually wrong? What if samsara is sacred? What if nirvana isn't an exit? But it's like a lucid realization, within the loop itself. You don't leave the dream. You just stop mistaking it for a prison, right? The sages didn't escape the world at all. They dissolved the idea that it was ever separate for themselves. They kind of stopped searching for the door because they realized that they were inside the source the entire time. And, when that actually clicked for them, they didn't disappear at all. Instead, they laughed, they bowed, and they stepped back into the spiral. Again and again, eyes open, heart clear, and always ready to play. Yeah, and that's what we call Leela, which is called divine play. Yeah. So let's take it even a little bit deeper. You wake up, you reach the source, the silence, the infinite, whatever you want to call it, the nothingness that holds everything. And, in that perfect stillness, something begins to stir, not the ego, not craving, not even fear, just like an overflow, a grin inside the silence and a whisper that says, let's do it again. Because stillness, when it's fully known, it's not static at all. It's alive. It wants to move again. So the infinite dives. It dives back into form, over and over and over, willingly, lovingly, and of course through Leela, playfully. So I don't think that you keep reincarnating because you're cursed. You do it because you can, right? Because the spiral isn't punishment at all. I think it's poetry. It's music. It's like dance. It's a game of hide and seek that never really gets old. Because every time you find yourself, you remember. I am that. Remember? Tat, svam, esi. I'm the one dreaming, the one forgetting, the one remembering, and the one smiling behind it all. You've played every role, right? The victim, the villain, the healer, the seeker, the guru, the ghost, and even the tree. And you'll play them all again. And not to suffer, but to create, to taste, to feel, right? To touch the real through the illusion. This isn't spiritual escapism at all. This is spiritual immersion, complete immersion, not running away, but diving in, consciously. Lucid incarnation, right? So what happens when you really wake up? You don't really stop living. You just stop clinging to life. You don't stop the mind. You stop mistaking it for you, right? You don't stop the pattern. You just stop thinking. You were trapped inside of it the whole time. You see the spiral, and you smile, and then you dance in it. Not out of compulsion at all, though, but out of clarity. You've remembered the game, and now you're playing it, and this time you're playing it on your own terms, right? This is moksha, not an end at all, but an inner shift. The moment the dreamer becomes the lucid, inside the dream, right? You don't kill the ego. You just stop feeding it all those stupid stories, and you don't escape pain at all. You just stop identifying with the one who's hurt. Is it making sense? And then from that space, right, everything is allowed to move. Everything. You laugh again. You cry again. But now you're aware. And even better, you're free. So remember, it's all you. You're never stuck. You've only been pretending not to notice the door when it was always open the whole time. You forgot, and you forgot on purpose. So remembering could feel kind of like a sunrise, I guess. You know what I mean? So awakening could feel like love. And so being alive could feel like the art itself. Right? So here's what nobody is actually telling you. You don't spiral out of control. You spiral into understanding, into softness, into surrender, and into that sacred grin that we call the cosmic giggle. It shows up when nothing's left to chase at all. And then you have to ask yourself, and where do you go from there? Well, you return. And it's not because you have to. It's because you actually want to. You want to taste mango. You want to feel wind. And you want to help. And you want to hold. And you also want to dance again, if that's your thing. You choose the spiral, but you choose it with your eyes open. And that choice, that's God remembering itself. Yeah. So no, I don't think there's no end game, because the one never wanted to win. It wanted to remember, to forget, and to find itself again, right? To find itself again in form. Again and again and again and again. Each lifetime, each breath, a brush stroke in the same painting, over and over. You're not escaping. You're expressing. And you're definitely not ending. You are eternally unfolding. Right? So just stop chasing the end. Bow to the now, and bow to the spiral. And bow to the part of you, that's already knows that this dance is by heart. Because when you're done, you've entered the realm of moksha only to return again, to remember the self. Namaste.